Hello and welcome to another episode of TerraVentures with me, Flying Magpies. As you can see, I'm starting things off back at my iron farm, and if we just go back into first person, we can see how much I've managed to get in a little bit, I think about an hour or so, and this isn't actually this isn't a full stack, but I did manage to get about 2 stacks or so, which I've taken out and put into my ender chest. Now, one of the things I've got planned for today is creating a few more roads just like this, so a stone slab, smooth stone slab sidewalk, as well as the black concrete powder and white concrete powder roads. And I also plan to build up the outside of this building here, starting off with white concrete and then putting some decorations on the outside. It does mean I'm going to have to move my horse though, but hopefully that shouldn't take too long, and this is probably the biggest project I'm going to have to work on today. After that, I plan to do a little bit more on ensuring that I can start work on the rest of this skyscraper city. So, laying out a few plots for where things are going to go and things like that. So, I'm going to get started on building up the wall around this iron farm. Well, as you can see, I've now put in the white box around the thing. It is now just above the height of the glass up there, so I think that's tall enough. Now what I'd want to do around here is just put a bit more decorations on the outside. So what I'm thinking is maybe about 4 or 5 blocks in the corner, I do a upwards pillar of what do you call this thing? The grey concrete powder, and do the same one here. So that will be a corner block, and I'll make that entirely covered, or clad the entire outside with this. At least that corner. So I'll do that on one corner and probably do a couple of lines across the top with some cyan concrete and see how that looks. Just a bit of a question, and trying to decide whether to go with this one over here on the right, where it's just a full solid block of stuff. It doesn't really give a lot of depth, as you can see. It's just it's solid white and solid grey. It's probably not the best look. Over here, however, it's probably a little bit. It's still not quite right. I did think about adding a little bit of green and perhaps some birch leaves there. Not birch leaves, some of whatever this is, the dark oak leaves will give it a bit of colour. Yeah, you can see just a little bit of green can help. Maybe if I put that there and one here, we'll make that a bottom of this. Like there, and then like that. So maybe if we do that, it looks a little bit more. It looks a little bit different. It just adds a little bit more color to the building, so it's not just all muted colors. I think that looks a little bit better. And of course, once we get rid of this front bit and just make it the right level, like so, it should look a little bit better. And yeah, I think that looks reasonable. It's not the best look in the world, but I think it's a little bit better than it could be. So I'm going to do the same on this right hand side and then re-examine what I can do in the middle. I don't quite know what I'm going to do yet, but I'll be thinking about it while I do this right hand side. After a bit of building, I've come up with what this is. So the front of it is just a bit of cyan, dark grey concrete and some red concrete, just going around in squares or rectangles or whatever you'd like to call it. So I think this is the design I'm going to go with here. And I don't think I'm going to use this. I don't think I'm going to use this everywhere in this space. I plan to use something like what do we call them? Residential building kind of thing. So there'd be balconies and things like that everywhere as well. So what I'm going to do is basically copy the front into the back area, or at least into the sides. And this is too far out. And go from there. So let's see, that needs 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the corner block is there, so this is actually another 1 too far. But yes, I'm going to start working on this, and hopefully in a few minutes I should have it done, and I can get started on these long side ones, which are going to require something else. I've been thinking about what to do with these side walls for a little bit now, and I can't really think of a good design, because unfortunately this back wall is completely white, so if I want to do anything I'm going to have to make some texture changes, some depth in it, some green, some blue preferably, so quite a few changes in here. So I'm going to leave this for now, and I'm going to move on to something else. And to explain that, I'm going to go into a creative version of a world that I used to play on and show exactly the idea I've got in there. So just give me a minute and I'll be right in that world. And we're in this creative world, and as you can see, this is the restaurant I'm planning to build. It's obviously based on KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it was basically, this was actually a shop in the original world where you can see I had a lot of chicken. Let's have a look. Yeah, I had quite a bit of chicken for sale, and if we came up here, we actually had our automatic chicken smelting facility up here. So what I'm planning to do is in the TerraVentures realm, I'm planning to use this as not as an actual shop in the realm, but as a decorated facility for storing my chicken. And I'm going to have similar shops, or similar quote-unquote shops, in the same strip to house my lamb and my what do you call it, the beef as well. So I might have a steak shack for the beef and the mutton, and of course this shop for the chicken. So let's just have a look at what we need. I need red concrete and grey concrete, and the two types of glass the same, lots of quartz, some slabs, and of course the chicken stuff, cooking stuff, and glowstone, but I've got plenty of that. So all of that is pretty simple. I'm just going to take a few notes of what's around, and of course I need black concrete and more quartz and spruce. That's probably the hardest one, but this shop shouldn't be too hard. Let's just have a quick look at how big it is. I think it's a square, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and we had a little bit of a concern through here. So what I might do is make this, it's 5 there and 5 there. So I might make it a little bit smaller. I might make it, if we had 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, so that would be 1, 4, 1, 4 is 5, is 10, 11. So we might, if we had 11 blocks, that might make it good on one side, and then this front side needs to be the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 11, 16, 17 by 17 might be a good size for the shop. Anyway, time to go build it in the realm. And a bit of a progress update. As you can see, I've now laid out the outline for where this shop is now going to go, this restaurant's going to go. I now need to, I actually don't have a lot of glass on me, so I need to smelt that up. I need to put all this into black and white squares and all that, so just quite a few more things to do with this shop, but it's coming along quite nicely. One thing I do need to remember to do is just continue to transform the island into a grassy landscape, because I really don't like the look of the mycelium everywhere, so that's something I'm going to have to do at some point, and I'll probably again do that off camera, and because that's just going to be a lot of work to get rid of the mycelium, a fair bit of work to make sure it doesn't grow back, and while the first grass block is placed, and then as that goes everywhere. So that is again another future project. I keep running out of shovels too. But as we keep going on this, I think it's going to be quite a good look. So I'm going to continue working on this, and hopefully I'll come back when I've got a little bit more progress done, and when it's hopefully not raining. In building this shop, I've actually come across a little bit of a problem. In the original design, that there's actually 2 bits of concrete here, and then this bit would be sticking here. Now obviously that would stick into the sidewalk, so I've just modified the design slightly. However, one of the things that is a problem is that this is all based on the road and the sidewalk being the same level, the footpath, and so I now need to decide whether or not to go with this design on the left, so this would be lowered by 1. In essence, it would be a little bit like this road over here, or if I go with the continued raised path over here. Now, the pro of this raised path is that it's just a little bit more separate from the road. It gives the road a little bit more depth. I could always lower the road by 1 block, but that is a little bit of a problem, because then this would be 1 block too low, or half a block too low. So it's a little bit pros and cons. And then this side, of course, it fits in nicely with the shops, and everything is nicely aligned. leaning to... Actually, there is something I could try, and that is just to have the side block like this at 1, and then everything else lowered. I think that would work quite nicely, because that would give this the separation that it needs, the road the separation from the sidewalk, as well as have the sidewalk and the footpath, the sidewalk at the right same level as the road. So let's just try that like this. Hopefully I gathered everything up. And boom, boom, boom. It's going to take a little bit of a while for me to test that, but so once I change it all, I'll come back and show you what it looks like on both sides, and we'll make a decision then. And having a look at this, I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. I'm just not as happy with the way I've actually built these things. It's really annoying that the sidewalk is actually being taken up by these protrusions into the building, into the sidewalk, but it's already built, so I could move the entire thing, but that would be a lot of effort, and I don't have silk touch on my pickaxe, so I'm going to have to leave it the way it is. So I believe this is the way to go now. I've got the block separating the road and the sidewalk, as well as a really reasonably decent sidewalk. This bit's a little bit, of course, of a problem, but I can always, what I can do from here is expand the sidewalk by 1 more block. And so that fits in quite nicely. So it's now back to a 3 wide sidewalk, which is what I wanted in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. This one might have to move as well, which means a little bit of adjusting, but that can be changed, of course, because this bit hasn't been developed yet. Anyway, back to this shop. There's still quite a bit to do. There's still the sign on the top. There's the chicken killing mechanism, and there's all the bits inside here: the seating, the tables, the cash register place over here, all those tiny little things that make up the shop. They're just the decorations of the shop. And I also need to put in some of the cauldron things that I had. So if I make a few of those, let's make 6. Actually, no. Let's make 9. That should be more than enough. Oh, there's a wandering trader over here. Anyway, so making more of these, making these cauldrons. Oh, it makes 6 of them. Anyway, doesn't matter. And so yep, just a little bit more decoration to go, and hopefully when I come back, this thing should be at least decoratively, it'll be done. And then I'll have to move all the chickens and feed them and whatnot, but that's a problem for the future. Well, I've discovered a slight error in this build. If you can see, if you notice, on this side there's 1 grey block, and then there's the red barrier going around. There's a block gap here, there's a block gap here, there's a block gap here, and then there's 2 red blocks here. In the world that I had earlier, that I showed you in creative earlier, that it's the same, except for there's only 1 on this side. So that's a slight error in me changing the dimensions of this build, but I suppose it can't really be helped if I want to keep it this way and don't want to have to demolish the entire thing and rebuild, which I don't want to. So I guess this way it's going to stay. Now, I'm sure I had a stone fence somewhere in here, because if you notice at the front there was actually 1 missing, so I'm going to have to build up this again. Let's see, some cobble fence, put that into my inventory, and boom. So there we go. So this thing is just about complete. As you can see, I've also put in some chairs in the middle. It's probably not the best layout in the world, but it suits. In fact, I probably should turn these 2 around, and I've also got my Cedar Kitchen, and the cooking mechanism is all going to be on the top. So this is going to look quite nice, if a bit empty at the moment. It's going to look quite nice once it's finished. So I believe I just need to get the chicken mechanism going, and then I can move on to another build. Well, I've now managed to finish up this chicken cooker. It's all upstairs here. I actually probably should go and show you exactly what it's like. And thankfully I just left this over here. So if we come up here, we can see that the chicken cooker is just the same as normal. There's the chicken compartment. I made it slightly bigger than normal. The chicken cooker in here, all those bits leading into the one thing, leading into here for the eggs, and just like normal, it's just going to be dispensed, cooked, and all that. Now what I think I'll do is take this down first, I'm going to remove all the cooked chicken and feathers from the original chicken cooker and clean that bit up the original side of the island, and then start moving on to the next project for today. As it's rather late through the video, I thought I might finish off this video by planning a couple of places that I'm going to be building in the next few episodes. So at the moment I'm just expanding this road. I don't have a lot of black concrete, or any black dye for that matter, so I'm going to have to go hunting for some squid. But what I'm planning is that this road will go off in, obviously, this direction, and then in a few places I'll line out exactly where I would like things. So I'm thinking, since on the corner over here we're going to have, I'm thinking maybe the farming headquarters. So this is where all the, just like the crop farm over there in near the other side of the base, where the villager is happily working. I'm thinking have quite a few of those somewhere, so that will probably take up possibly a 16 by 16 just on the farm itself, so that is going to extend out this way quite a bit, off in this direction. And then on the other side, over here, I might have the storage headquarters, so that it will be another big skyscraper with lots and lots of levels, each with their own items. So there might be the, on the bottom there might be the easily accessible things, like such as, well, I don't know what I'm going to need the most, but the things I need the most. And on the next level there might be stone and dirt and cobble and things like that. The third level might be other things, and so on and so forth. What I'm also thinking of doing is that somewhere along here, probably maybe on this side of the, I'm going to build a tree farm, just like I did in Season 1, and that's going to be covered up in a nice skyscraper as well, as if you remember correctly. If you remember, it had a nice tall bit, so that is going to be, it might be a tower, a watch tower, clock tower, and something else. So that's the general idea there. What else do I need in here? I also plan to build a nice big stadium, so that is going to be one of the big projects. That's probably going to span many episodes, and probably, hopefully not consecutive ones, because I haven't still planned it, but that's going to be off in the far reaches on this in this direction. I also might build a couple of just tall buildings that don't have any purpose, that actually look like residential ones. But the general idea in this part of the base is to have a skyscraper city, and I'm sure I've mentioned this a few times, but a skyscraper city, so it looks nice and tall. A couple of mini storage facilities, like this one is basically a storage facility just for chicken, and of course it produces chicken as well. So yes. Another thing I'm planning is that I'm going to have another crop farm, probably not as big as the original crop farm, and that will be feeding composters, because in the first season of TerraVentures I had a big problem with getting bone meal all the time for my tree farm. So now with the composter I should be able to rectify that and get a lot more bone meal from that. And in fact I've already started doing that with random things back at the temporary part of the base. So those are the general plans, and I'm probably going to put a few signs around to denote where I want things. So over here, this needs a little bit more. Over here is, what did I say this was going to be? Crop farm, I think. So let's just type that out, crop farm. And then over here we might have, the problem is this water here, but I'm thinking I can cover up this and start putting grass in there. So I think this side can be, there's the crop farm over here. Or is that going to be storage? Crop farm can be on this side, I guess. No. Yeah, crop farm can be here. Storage can be over here, or at least main storage can be over here. Let's just say storage 1, and if we say off in this direction, not on the dirt, storage 2, I think that will help me. Let's spell it correctly. Storage 2, and then off in this direction, now they can't get up there, but off in this direction we might have tree farm, and crop bone meal farm. I really need to learn how to spell. So crop bone meal farm, and there we go. So those two things, those are probably the biggest 4 projects at the moment, and of course filling out some more roads and all that. But unfortunately that's all I've got time for today. So if you have liked this video, in which we built this KFC type thing, and I'll note that I'm not actually endorsed by that company, but this building over here, which is my new chicken facility, as well as this building a little bit of a house or something on top of this, just to make it a little bit more, I suppose, structural. Oh, I still need to do the walls, but anyway, so we've done those two things today. So if you have liked this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep watching out for the next one. Goodbye.